So it appears now that AWS, Microsoft, and NVIDIA will provide AI tech to the Pentagon. Oh no! I feel like I'm supposed to scream or get angry or get emotional about this, when really I just kind of want to yawn a little bit. So there's been this big argument over the past little while, especially with the Trump administration, about the Department of Defense and the U.S. government getting access to artificial intelligence resources, right? And Anthropic CEO Dario came out and made a stand. He said that he did not want Anthropic systems to be used for autonomous weapon systems and for mass surveillance of American citizens. You can do whatever the hell else you want, though, with it, right? And I do think this has kind of been interesting because basically Anthropic came out and basically with Dario, they tried to burnish their reputation to show how moral and ethical they are, when in reality they weren't doing much of anything, right? Anthropic was still used to kill people in Venezuela. Anthropic is still used to kill people in Iran. Anthropic can still be used to kill people all around the world, right? Again, there has to be an interesting question about how much money did Dario make when 170 school children were slaughtered in Iran, right? What was the commission of bombing a school in Iran for the AI companies? Because think about that. That was not an autonomous weapon system, nor was it American citizen, so it wasn't mass surveillance on us. Ergo, literally, if he earned a commission off of slaughtering Iranian children, that would be morally and ethically correct in this modern world of AI idiocy, right? But I think this is kind of an interesting thing that comes up with this whole AI deal, is AI is being posited as some kind of just, again, this whole revolutionary technology. Whoever owns AI is going to rule the world and all this other kind of stuff. And one of the things I thought about for a long time is that it's just a stack, right? It's a stack you can make for using decisions. And a lot of the technology that's these companies are putting out now, there are products that have been around for years. One of the things, if you follow me, when I do my little projects on LinkedIn and that type of thing, it's amazing. There's this product called OpenCV. So OpenCV is called, it's Open Computer Vision. It is a computer vision framework that you can use Python. So basically you can use a low power computer like this, or Raspberry Pi 4 or 5. You can attach a camera to it. The camera can actually detect objects, right? And not only does it detect objects, but it gives an XY coordinate. So basically on the horizontal and the vertical. And so here's the interesting thing, right? If you have a computer device that has a camera on it that can track on the X and the Y, and you can train it for whatever kind of visual image you want to train it on, right? All you have to do is you simply attach servo motors and that thing to a weapon system, and all of a sudden you got an automatic tracking weapon system. All you need for things like distance, and I've shown this before in demonstrations I've done over the years, is you can actually use the size. If you basically know what the size of an object is supposed to be, like a human being, let's say, is approximately 6 foot tall, basically one of the things that you can do is you get the XY coordinates, plus you get the height and width dimensions of the object that it detects. So you can use that height width. So if you have a standardized size of what you think the object's size should be, then you can use that to calculate the distance. So using OpenCV with a Raspberry Pi 4, you can create an autonomous weapon system for however much the servo motors are going to cost. Really, that's what's going to cost you money. Like crappy ass servo motors are going to cost you $5 a piece, but if you're trying to move an M16 around, you're going to need better than crappy ass servo motors. I would bet you with OpenCV and the rest of it, you could create an entirely autonomous weapons firing platform well sub $1,000, depending on the weapon. And again, those servo motors, I bet you could get that damn thing below $500. And that would be an entirely autonomous thing. And again, that exists with technology that's so available. You can just download that crap off of GitHub to make it work. So one of the interesting things with artificial intelligence, if you look a lot of this AI stuff, there's this real question about what is the additional functionality that Amazon and these services are actually selling to the Department of Defense? Again, everybody does propaganda. There is this idea that AI is more dangerous than nuclear weapons. So there is this question of, is the Pentagon overemphasizing their utilization of AI as kind of a pushback against China's hypersonic missiles? Right? Apparently we've fallen behind in the hypersonic missile race. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Whether that actually matters, again, is an entirely different question. But one of the things that we've been getting hammered on is that we've fallen behind in the hypersonic missile race. Now, here's the thing. Building hypersonic missiles, deploying hypersonic missiles, that's real technology. That's real science. That's hard. That is hard. That is both non-trivial and really hard to do. So if you're like, okay, well, how can we push back on China's quote unquote technological dominance if it's going to take us a while to get these hypersonic missiles? Hey, we can state that AI is more dangerous than a nuclear weapon, and then state that we're investing more in AI for our military than anybody else around the world is. Ergo, our AI systems are more dangerous than their hypersonic missile systems. Which, as they say, is an argument. Is an argument. So anyways, that's kind of how I look at all this stuff with all these companies, supporting the DoD or whatever else. If you create a kill list using Microsoft Excel, should Microsoft be faulted for that, right? If you create a database system using AWS Aurora, I do believe it is, in order to catalog, political dissidents, I mean, should AWS really be smacked for that? I mean, realistically, this is things we have to think about from a practical standpoint. And so here's the thing, right? If Microsoft can't really be blamed for how their spreadsheets are used, and how Amazon can't be really used, can't be blamed for how Aurora is being used, then as you start using these LLMs, these reasoning models, this other stuff, like where is the line between a spreadsheet kill list and AI systems? I don't know. Again, that's where it all gets very confusing. And it's easy. It's easy for the kids out there. Kids out there are like, well, I would never support the DoD. Yeah. That sounds good until we get into the next war. I mean, the next war, because we're not in a war now, right? Anyways, let's see here. You can add Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, and NVIDIA to the growing list of tech giants that have decided to give the U.S. Defense Department access to their AI tools, according to Bloomberg. The three companies, alongside a fourth, Reflection AI, have signed agreements granting the Pentagon use of their AI technologies, quote, for lawful operational use on classified military networks. Quote, these agreements accelerate the transformation towards establishing the United States military as an AI-first fighting force, the Pentagon said in a statement shared with Bloomberg. The four companies join xAI, OpenAI, and Google in signing similar deals with the Defense Department that essentially leaves Anthropic as the lone major U.S.-based AI provider without a working agreement with the Pentagon. So basically, Anthropic says, we're going to be careful about selling to the Pentagon, and all their competitors are like, great, we'll take your money. Oh, Anthropic, Dario, do you not want that billions and billions and billions of dollars? Well, if you don't want the billions and billions and billions of dollars, we'll be more than happy to take it. I don't know. So this is where we're going to be moving in the future, and we're gonna see where it goes. And the problem we get into again with a lot of this AI stuff and like the whole law, like what did it say for lawful operational use? Again, one of the big problems we have in the United States is what is legal. Like things that shouldn't be legal, things that we all agree should be one way. And then what you find out is, well, again, like right now, we're not in a war with Iran. I want to be very serious about this. We are not in a war with Iran. We are having an operation with Iran. And even though it's been 60 days since that operation began, Congress isn't allowed to step in because there's a ceasefire and that pauses the clock. Where are the rules, the constitutional whatever on pausing the clock? I don't remember a pausing the clock addendum to the Constitution, but apparently the Trump administration thinks there is a pausing the clock addendum to the Constitution, and the Republicans aren't really fighting it. Ergo, right? And so that's one of the big issues we have right now in the United States is there's a lot of this stuff that just, again, the politicians are reading the letter of the law. And the letter of the law many times isn't nearly as specific as we want it to be. So a lot of things are legal, even when many of us agree that they shouldn't be. It gets all kinds of nastiness there. So anyways, I don't know. The AI companies are all getting involved in this, and we're gonna see how it goes. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to say with this. It is what it is. It is what it is. Hopefully, my dream is that we can have a black female president who redefines the definition of an enemy combatant, so it turns into 10-year-old little schoolgirls, so that when our AI bombs drop on 10-year-old little schoolgirls, that we all know that they were combatants, unlawful combatants too. Again, that's the whole thing with this. Remember Obama? Yeah, Obama. There were too many civilian casualties during the whole war on terrorism, and he looked at it as a Nobel Peace Prize winning president, as the guy who won the Nobel Peace Prize for showing up to work that day. He looked at all the civilian casualties being done in the war on terrorism and said, "This is unacceptable." So he redefined what a civilian was. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. It's one of the reasons I'm a bit bitter. It's one of the reasons I'm a wee bit salty. It's one of the reasons why the whole diversity thing doesn't quite ring as true as maybe some people feels like it should. Yeah, when America was murdering children overseas, the Obama administration redefined those children as military combatants. So anyways, again, whether it's Obama or Trump or Biden or Trump or AOC that comes next, I don't know, this is all gonna get ugly. Anyways, what do you think about this stuff? What do you think about it? Put your thoughts down below. Do remember these episodes are now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. There's a link in the doobly-doo if you want to get these there, so you can listen to this on your travel to work or whatever else. And with that, see y'all later.